This candle actually symbolizes Sasuke's drive and his will. It's quite literally the fire that burns from within, and it parallels with another shot that I'll be mentioning later.
It's time Kakashi-sensei taught me something new, like that Chidori thing. Why does he always play favorites with Sasuke?
I wonder why, Naruto. Maybe if you look deeply into their eyes, you'll find out why. Or maybe he literally told you in the 3rd exam. Stay with me now.
And I could have taught you jutsu that made Chidori look like kid stuff.
Rasengan does kind of make Chidori look like kid stuff, if you consider the water tower incident.
Right! When do we leave?
Naruto's constant ambition to get stronger is cool. I wonder who that reminds us of.
I go to check out a couple of low-life vagabonds in the tea house, and I find none other than Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki.
Kakashi hyping up Kisame and Itachi further reinforces that they're kinda insane, as well as kinda serving as a reminder for how powerful they are since, I mean, this is a new episode.
I heard that you and Zabuza had it out a while back.
They did? Why didn't we learn about that? That could have been a cool arc. You could have maybe called it something like the Land of Waves. Like, that would have been sick.
If you take this man on, it won't be without cost. Your way is inefficient and unnecessarily risky. Don't lose sight of our goal.
Here's something you'll notice with Itachi going forward in this arc. The second there's a conflict, he almost immediately tries to leave or defuse the situation. On one side, there's Itachi hyping up his opponents, but on the other side, there's Itachi not trying to force any unnecessary damage onto people that are technically his allies. And technically, in this moment, he's not trying to run away, but he's very heavily implying it, so there's that. Here's the shot that parallels the candle shot. When Sasuke's reading the stone, the fire within him grows, as reading the stone makes him more and more determined. That's cool visual storytelling, so good job, Naruto.
Ninja art, water style, water wall!
We've seen up to this point that Itachi is good at genjutsu and taijutsu, so now showing he's good enough at ninjutsu to not even have a visible hand sign makes him extremely scary. And when Sasuke goes to fight him later, it pretty much confirms that he's boned in that situation.
You almost anticipated my moves. Almost.
Y'all thought the Shikamaru glaze was bad? You weren't ready. This whole fight is like the perfect intro. He's cruel, cracked in literally every way, and just overall a big problem. No matter what he does, he's ahead of you, and that's something Itachi carries with him for the rest of the series, so great job.
Nice job, Kakashi.
A lot of people love to point to Itachi's cruelness as proof of retcon, but if he was always a bad guy until the last second, why didn't he just fucking kill Kakashi when he was under his feet? You know, just pull one of these. Also, why did Kakashi even think this was a good move? Like, this is stupid risky. It's almost out of character how dumb this is.
That one's the shadow clone.
Kakashi! Kurenai!
First off, cool moment, but also, how is Asuma's Siggy still in his mouth? Like, that thing is floating. That overanalyzing physics guy, he just wouldn't be happy.
Stay on your toes. This guy was made chief of Anbu Black Ops when he was only 13.
All right, he's tough. We get it.
Indeed, your abilities are impressive. They might even be enough to resist the Mangekyo Sharingan.
This is our first ever mentioning of Mangekyo. Very cool. Kinda wish we saw it with the first time it's brought up, but I'm never satisfied, so like, you know, you should know this. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot to talk about, so just get ready. I'll start with how we see someone get into Tsukiyomi. Since it's simple and it's just them pretty much fading into it, as we see, they're relatively aware that they're in a genjutsu, or at least in Kakashi's case, he's pretty aware. But it's so powerful that knowing it's a genjutsu doesn't do anything since everything feels all so real.
The next 72 hours will be nothing but this. Over and over.
I'm not the first one to say it, and I'm definitely not gonna be the last, but yeah, Itachi's a dick for using Tsukiyomi on Kakashi. I kind of see why he did it, but it's also, like, definitely unnecessarily cruel. I also just think on a surface level, though, Itachi is just needlessly cruel. I just called the truth and not retcon. I never said he still wasn't kind of an asshole. And you can call that cope, but I mean, there's evidence. Even after the truth revealed, there's evidence, so there's that.
Tsukuyomi. Time and space. Even physical mass. I control them all.
Here's something I really love about the Tsukuyomi. It's his own world, that's sick, but also just the visuals. Everything is black and white except for the dullish red sky, and not only is that cool stylistically, but it's also a way to make the viewer feel uneasy, and it's a driving reason to why this whole scene is just so iconic.
Pain is pain. Call it what you will. Do you feel it any less deeply by thinking it's not real?
This is more of just a personal thing, but this whole Tsukuyomi thing is just, like, so funny. It's almost petty. Like, he did not need to be doing all this. Like, it's disrespectful as hell. And the amount of memes that have just been made out of this whole situation because of how brutal it is, like, it's just insane. Also, you might have noticed, but Itachi actually uses his Anbu sword, which kind of looks like Sasuke's grass cutter sword later on. Maybe Sasuke uses that sword because of Itachi. I don't think it's ever mentioned why he uses it, so who knows?
Only 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds to go.
Only a single second has passed.
Okay, Itachi is genuinely a dick. You could point to his needlessly cruel nature to trauma, but that's not really what I want to talk about here. This moment overall is extremely pivotal to why Itachi seems like such a villain. Hyping him up does help, like, definitely, but this is also the first time we've seen him be, like, genuinely malicious. And we need moments like this where he's overly cruel, since these handful of episodes is pretty much all we get from him. We need that impression that he's gonna be a problem going forward. And overall, this moment is just so peak. Like, if you couldn't tell, I love Itachi as a character, so, like, get ready for the stupid amount of glaze, but peak.
3 days in that world, and less than a moment passed in this one. Why not just kill me?
Yeah, why didn't Itachi kill him? I wonder. Making this seem worse than torture works also really well. Since we know Itachi is pretty strong-willed, we now know that Tsukuyomi was rough as hell, even if we couldn't already somehow connect those dots.
If he wanted to, he could.
Let's talk about power scaling one more time, cause I honestly almost forgot. Even Kakashi knows this fight wasn't fair, which ties into the power scaling really well on how Itachi is above Orochimaru, and Orochimaru is above Kakashi. And that line from last episode helps us understand why this fight ended this way, as well as telling us why it was so lopsided. Like, Kakashi is strong, we know that, but he didn't even stand a chance from the start. And without Orochimaru's line, like, I'm not gonna say it would have felt out of place, but I mean, it definitely would have felt awkward. So, good job power scaling. Let's just hope it stays digestible.
You risked overusing those eyes of yours. You know that's dangerous.
If you couldn't tell, Itachi's eyes are tweaking like crazy, and it's cause his vision sucks. And I think pointing to his bad vision really early is extremely important, cause in reality, that's the driving force into the big fight of Sasuke and Itachi. So introducing it early gives Itachi a quote-unquote motive, which is amazing.
Is it Sasuke?
No. The legacy of the fourth Hokage.
Is this technically a reveal that Naruto is Minato's kid? I've always seen it that way. And it's kind of up in the air if Itachi knows he's Minato's kid, cause he could definitely just be talking about the Ninetales here. This is pretty 50-50 in my opinion, so I'll just let the comments decide, or something like that. I think that's how YouTube works. I like how this flashback brings out a more serious side of Jiraiya. We've seen it before, but we've not seen it in full force like this. And having someone whose goofy side gives more of a lasting impression now suddenly acts serious for an extended period of time, it adds a lot more needed nuance to his character. Good job.
It's a roving gang of 9 like-minded shinobi who call themselves the Akatsuki.
I like how we get our first official name drop of the Akatsuki after we see them. We learn they're in the bingo book, and I mean, the bingo book is pretty much the, hey, they're pretty scary book. And we also learn that Itachi is part of this organization. But none of that would actually be important to the viewer if we didn't just see Itachi just wash Kakashi. So good job. Great job, actually. Okay, like, who the fuck are these people? You can see Kisame and Itachi and what I think is Orochimaru in the front. So, okay. Then, if I'm trying hard, you can see Kakuzu next to Orochimaru and maybe even Pain next to him. But who are the rest of these people? Did they just get like a bunch of goobers and be like, hey, let's take a picture? Who the fuck is that? Who is that?
Naruto must learn that because of what he is, he'll have to live his life watching his back. That's the boy's destiny.
Okay, let's get back to the destiny talk, cause why not? This is his quote-unquote destiny, but Naruto doesn't do this. He stands on business, like, he goes to the Akatsuki and they barely go to him. So it's another cool flip on destiny, and we're gonna be addressing more going forward, so get ready.
I know all about you. You call yourselves the Akatsuki, right?
Itachi's reaction is basically nothing, maybe somewhat surprised he knows that much, and Kisame's is purely shocked. I'm not gonna tell you what that says, but I will say it works into their personalities, so that's something.
We'll take Kakashi with us, but we don't need the others. Get rid of them.
Okay, so why does Itachi want to take Kakashi? I genuinely think there's an explanation, so just hear me out. Itachi himself has stated he doesn't have any sensory abilities of his own, but he still does have Sharingan, which can detect chakra to some degree, and Guy had to have been close to save him, so I genuinely think he said to rush them to force out Guy, which could have given him a reason to run away. And you can call it cope, but there's a lot more evidence for Itachi sparing Kakashi in this entire fight, as well as Itachi pretty much looking for reasons to run away throughout this entire conflict. So assuming that Itachi is forcing the fight to come to a resolution isn't really a stretch, especially when he could have forced it to a quick end.
Severely hurricanes!
W. Guy, he might just be the GOAT, just maybe. And also, it begins. Guy vs Kisame, the best rivalry in Naruto, remembered by all, forgotten by none.
That's the key to fighting an opponent who's using Sharingan. Focus on his feet. You can read what he's gonna do from his feet.
Does this not make Guy seem a lot stronger than what we previously thought? Yeah, he stopped Gaara's sand with his hand, but he feels like a proper ninja here. Looking at something as simple as his feet, like, that's sick.
We're not here to fight a full-scale battle. Tempting as it may be, it's not the way to do this. Let's go.
Here's another situation of Itachi just trying to run away, even though this one kinda makes sense. This is the second time someone stepped into the fight, so I understand why bad guy Itachi wants to run away, especially since Guy did call for Anbu. But good guy Itachi also wants to run away because he wants to defuse the situation, even if he still might beat them with Anbu. And this is just a side note, but I love that the show can have these different perspectives, like, it's a really good touch.
Let's move out!
Yeah, let's just move out of this episode. Good idea. I like the overall subject matter of this episode, don't get me wrong, but am I the only one that thinks this episode is like really stretched out? The Tsukiyomi I get, that's gonna be stretched out on purpose, but this fight really didn't need to last an episode and I just can't get past that. The Naruto dicking around isn't really that good, but I understand why it's essential. The flashback is good though, so I guess there's that. And Itachi is pretty amazing in this episode, just like the other ones he's in later on. But still, overall, I can't help but feeling this could have been shorter, like, a lot shorter. So yeah, next episode, Jiraiya. Fuck is that title? Next episode, Jiraiya. Naruto's potential disaster. Not gonna lie. I don't think I'm ready for the goggle slander in that episode. I'm really not. I'm not prepared. I'm just fucking not.